All right, let's do it. All right. Four, three, two. How are we doing, Highway Rivals family? Back today. Got a very special episode today. This has been highly anticipated. Got our guy Greg Finberg in here today. Greg, how are we feeling to be here today?
We're feeling great. Wizards fans not feeling too great after that lottery dropping to six, but I'm excited. I'm feeling great. I'm excited to join Lucas and Nate and kind of dive into what's going on with the Wiz recently.
Yes, sir, for sure. We got a bunch of Wizards questions for you, and that's where we're going to start off. But we also do want to know a little bit about your opinion on the playoffs, the current NBA state. So, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into it. You mentioned the lottery. Walking away from that as a Wizards fan, obviously you guys have the sixth pick. I think you guys were hoping for a little bit better after the season that you had. Kind of just run us through your mindset with this sixth overall pick, where you think you guys might be going as far as the player you might pick.
Yeah, so a lot of people obviously you want one, you could have gotten Cooper Flag, or two, you get Dylan Harper. The Wizards were kind of star hunting in this lottery. That's why they bottomed out. They're a star away. They have eight, nine guys, 23 and under. They
Yeah.
have three draft picks in the first round from last year. They're gonna have two more this year if they keep both. They kind of have that foundation. They don't have the guy to ascend them. I mean, you look at the Pistons with Cade Cunningham, number one pick, they're back in the playoffs. Orlando Magic get Paolo with the number one pick. They're back in the playoffs. Without those guys, they're probably nothing. They're just around that 8-9 spot. So the Wizards wanted that. They didn't get it. Obviously, that's disappointing. But at the same time, you're still going to get a great player at six. This is a very talented, very deep draft class. The way I see it shaking out, Flag, Harper, 1, 2, any combination of VJ Edgecombe from Baylor, and then you got Ace Bailey from Rutgers, 3, 4. Don't know how that's going to go. But then you have Utah at five, Washington at six. For me, there's going to be Trey Johnson there that I think is probably the guy that I want most and Wizards fans want most from Texas. Can score the ball like nothing. Jeremiah Fears, guard out of Oklahoma, pretty similar, I guess, to Jordan Poole. Not the greatest defender, but gets some steals and can really score the basketball as well. And then you have some sleepers like Derek Queen from Maryland, that is an uber talented guy, probably the best fit alongside an Alex Sarr in the front court.
Right.
That could be a nice pairing. Your Kaman Malawaks, who are really talented, but I don't know how much they fit. There's a lot of different players available at six, and we can dive in later into who I think that they should take. But at the same time, while Wizards fans are disappointed, you're still going to get a great talent. And as kind of climb the rebuilding ranks and try to build this roster out.
Right. Yeah, no, 100%. I think it really does blow for you guys in a way that you didn't get like that top three slot. But like you said, this draft is so deep. So it's not going to matter as much as people are probably thinking, right? Because this draft is so deep.
Yeah, so looking at the Wizards, you mentioned some of the young guys that we currently already have on the roster. Just thinking about Jordan Poole, Bob Carrington, on down the list. Out of all those guys, who do you feel like who excites you the most these next 2 years? Looking at the Wizards roster and what we got and what we have coming in.
I mean, I think Jordan Poole is the most talented player on the team right now. I don't think that's much of a debate. I don't know how long he's going to be a part of the core. He's only 25. He's not that old, but comparatively to your 18-year-old Bob Carringtons and 19-year-old Alex Sars, he's a little older. I think for me the most intriguing is Alex Sarr. I think the two-way potential is just off the charts. Like you saw the defense that he has all throughout the season, and it's a similar thing you saw with Daniel Gafford before he got traded. The Wizards funnel everything into the paint because they really don't have the best perimeter defenders outside Koulibaly and George. And so Alex Sarr is kind of having to absorb all that. And he did a great job given what he had. But surrounded by a lot of great defenders, I think he's going to, be even better on that end, in the future. And then you look at his offensive potential as well. The three-point shot was awful in summer league. It was awful the first month of the year. But then in November, he shot 46% from three on, a good amount, 50 attempts throughout the month. So he showed potential there. And then in terms of paint scoring, he was good there. He's got to get stronger. But the ability to block shots on one end, knock down threes, score in the paint on the other, that's what I really like. That's why he was drafted at two. I think that's why the Wizards would have taken him at one if they had the pick last year.
Yeah.
And so if you're looking at someone that I'm really excited about, it's the two-way potential of Sarr.
No, yeah, Sarr is disgusting. Pretty sure he averaged like around 17 this year on pretty good splits as well. You obviously mentioned the two-way potential. Obviously, we do want to stick on the Wizards for a minute, but I do want to ask you, how crazy is it that of all teams to get the number one slot, it was the Dallas Mavericks? Do you feel like it's rigged, like everybody else is saying?
I rigged. I don't know if I'd go rigged. I think a lot of people were just really upset on that night, and that's understandable. A team like San Antonio, even that has moved up the last three draft lotteries, they're getting generational prospects. They don't need Dylan Harper, but they ended up getting lucky and got them. I think I would more so lean towards not being rigged. I think they should just get away from it. Like the NFL system's pretty good, right? Like I'm a
Right.
Commanders fan. They were the second worst team in the league. The Bears were the worst team in the league. They clearly both needed generational players. The
Yeah.
Commanders got one, and in a year they went from the second worst team in the league to the NFC Championship game. That's the turnaround that it should be. Versus the NBA, you're looking at teams that if you don't get lucky, it's 4, 5, 6 years, and you're still in the same spot. And you're rewarding some teams that didn't deserve it. I mean, the Mavericks completely torched their franchise. They traded that Luka. It was a terrible move, and then bang, they get rewarded for it with another cheaper superstar.
Yeah.
Anybody else in that lottery probably needed Cooper Flag more than the Mavericks did, or deserved him more, and they got him. The Spurs, the same rate. They didn't deserve the two pick, but they get it. And now you got teams like Charlotte, Utah, Washington. They just completely wasted a season to tank, and they're going to get okay players. They're not going to get superstars.
Yeah.
So it sucks. And I think the cherry on top for most people was the fact that after that ridiculous move, that Dallas gets rewarded. When teams like Utah, Charlotte, Washington really deserved and needed that player more.
100%. Yeah, I watching it, my initial reaction was, what did the owners pay the league to make this happen, right? But obviously, you watch enough sports shows, people talk you down from the rig talk. But Nate, you got anything else for him as far as being a Wizard?
Yeah, so it's just me personally as a Wizards fan, I started in the John Wall era. As soon as he got drafted, followed his career, and I've stuck with him. These last 5 years really have been rough. But looking back, we had a few good years, and I wanted to ask you, what is your favorite maybe game or series, maybe in the last decade, that you're looking back on?
That's a great question. I mean, it's slim pickings. Obviously, the last couple of years, the T has been terrible. I mean, for me, it's the game six versus Boston in 2017, the John Wall shot.
Yeah.
It's a funny story. I was my friend had his bar mitzvah the exact same night, so I was obviously like I have to be here for him, but I'm also a big fan. I need to watch this game. And so I kind of snuck away from everybody to watch the game, and I had it on my phone, and all my friends are Sixers fans. Obviously, they're all clowning on me when Al Horford hits the shot. Pretty low moment in my Wizards career as a fan. And then, flash forward about 15 seconds later, I was on some illegal streaming site, so it was like really far behind. And some kid comes running in, just like John Wall made a three, John Wall made a three. And so like I'm like I think they're all messing with me, and I watch it. He drains it. It was unbelievable. Only thing would have made it better is if maybe I was there. But again, like because the Wizards have never gotten over that hump. I mean, the Paul Pierce shot to tie that series against Atlanta didn't count. There was no game seven. They couldn't get over that hurdle and they lost game seven. But the fact that they forced it, they were that close. That was kind of a nice, cool point. John Wall gets up on the scorers table. Just a nice moment for that, the best moment of that team, but the best moment that I've seen personally.
I would agree personally, and I would say the game seven, Kelly Olynyk drops 26 points. I mean, it was just frustrating, but that's definitely my most memorable moment in the last recent history, anyway.
Yeah.
Um,
So is John Wall your favorite Wizard of all time?
Honestly, for me, it's Kelly Oubre. It's a bit unorthodox. I don't know. I always liked the way KO played. I had his jersey. He gave me his warm up shirt when I was sitting at one of the games in Philly. I don't know. He just plays with attitude. It gets him in trouble sometimes. I mean, he got suspended in that Boston series for decking Olynyk. But at the same time, I like the way he played. I also, big Beal fan. Obviously, the contract isn't great, and he didn't have the best exit, but. In those John Wall days, I thought he was a little underappreciated. As that scorer, it kind of took a big step, and the burden on that was thrown on him to be this star player was kind of unfair. He's not that guy, but I always liked the way that Brad played and carried himself. So I would say Kelly, but I also enjoy watching Brad too.
Yeah. I mean, as a person with zero bias towards the Wizards, I don't have a crazy NFL or NBA team. I've just been a LeBron follower, so basically it is wherever LeBron goes, that's where my heart is. But as an unbiased person, I some of those Wizards team were amazing, and you thought like, okay, if they get to Cleveland, this could be scary.
I
This
know
could be
if we
scary.
could have got through that game seven in Boston, I would have loved to seen that series with the Cavs. I really think that would have been a series.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's, and I guess this pertains to the draft running into next year. As a Wizards fan, what do you think is the team's biggest need? Obviously you spoke on Sar. He's a great piece to have. You guys have a really young core that maybe need a couple years to develop. But in your opinion, what is the biggest piece as far as type of player that you guys need?
It's a score. It's scoring for sure. I mean, this is a team that last year ranked 30th in offensive efficiency. They ranked 30th in offensive rating, 27th in points per game at about 105, which in today's NBA is nothing.
Yeah.
They need scoring. And that was really apparent when Jordan Poole missed a couple games. It was rare that he missed games, but when he did, you saw like the Wizards don't have many shot creators. They don't have facilitators. They need a score. That's why I think Trey Johnson should be the pick if he falls to them at 6. And if he doesn't, Jeremiah Fear should be the pick because they need more guys that can create their own shot, create for others, and kind of bring this offense up to a new level. And I understand like two-way guys, that's preferable. You clearly want someone that plays both sides, not just one. But at the same time, the Wizards need scoring. And yes, you could be a good defensive team. You see that with Orlando, but they have no scoring. They have no true point guard, no facilitator. And that really hurts them in a lot of games against high scoring, high powered offenses. So, if I'm the Wizards and I'm looking at what do I need, I have good defenders, I have young talent, I need scoring, and I think you can get that number 6.
Yeah, no, you 100% can because of how deep this draft class is. If as a non-biased person, I would definitely roll Trey Johnson there, especially off what I saw him do, all through the course of the SEC season, but also like that play-in game against Xavier. He was Texas's only bright spot. He's the only one who could get off the dribble, go make a tough bucket. I think, even though you said you don't know how long Jordan Poole will be there, this could be a situation where he's on contract for, I think he's on contract for another 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you bring in Trey Johnson, maybe he's a plug and play, Jordan Poole, Sar. That's a decent starting lineup, in my opinion. I don't know what's, like you said, today's NBA, you need to score 125 points a game. Unfortunately, there's no defense throughout the regular season, but maybe Trey Johnson's that guy for you all. Do you have anything else Wizards related?
So to end it up with the Wizards, there's a lot of big free agents out there this summer.
Yeah.
What do you think about the Wizards taking a crack at that? I know there's a guy like Giannis out there. There's a guy like Kevin Durant, which he calls DC home. Do you think that's a possibility? How would you feel if that was a possibility?
I mean, like adding a guy like Giannis or KD, like that's always going to be cool. It's going to drive your ticket sales. I mean, Ted Leonsis, the Wizards owner, is really big on just how much money can I make. I don't really care if it sinks my team. And so I understand like Wizards fans have been down for so long that that's kind of intriguing, adding a superstar of that caliber. But I think it would kind of throw out the last couple years. Like there's a process, right? And I think Will Dawkins, the GM, has said like we want to build this the right way, no matter how long it takes. Not getting a top pick in the lottery certainly hurts that and sets you back a little bit. But I don't think it sets you back to the point where you need to panic or you need to kind of rush this rebuild process. On top of that, if Giannis is going to seek a trade, I don't know why he'd want to come to Washington. Obviously, like all bias aside, there's so many better options for him. Same with Kevin Durant. Like these are guys I mean, Giannis is in the prime of his career. KD's a little bit past it, but he's still one of the top players in the league. I don't know why they'd want to come to a Wizards team that's a couple years away, even with them, or just go to a team that is contending right now and could compete for a championship next year. So I think that'd be cool, but I don't think the Wizards would benefit from it. I also don't think they're in the market for it. I think they're going to let other people spend their assets, kind of sit there. They have a top 8 protected pick next year that I think they'd want to keep too. So I don't think winning is kind of what they want now. So yeah, it'd be cool. Obviously, Giannis, like get his jersey, it'd be really nice for the team. But I don't think they're in that market right now.
I would 100% agree. I don't know why Giannis would go there in that trade situation. I think it's crazy that the way that's going to play out is going to be crazy no matter how you draw it. It would be a little crazier if he went to Washington. So, but moving away from the Wizards, thank you for doing all that. Obviously, Greg, he is the writer for Bullets Forever and the host of the Wizards podcast. You guys need to check out his socials, interact, like, sub, whatever it may be. He's really active on Twitter and he has great content, also does a bunch of content with other Wizards fans. So very enjoyable watch. Moving away from the Wizards, though, as much fun as they are to talk about, I do want to ask you about obviously, we're in the Eastern Conference, Western Conference Finals. It's been a great playoffs for the most part so far. Some underwhelming series, but where we're at right now. Last night we saw the Thunder go up 2-0 on the Wolves. How do you think Minnesota has a fighting chance to get back in here?
I think they have a chance. It's tough because they've thrown pretty much everything they have the
Yeah.
first two games. Game one, obviously they were in it, and then they kind of got blown out, and then the adjustments worked. They were down by what, one or two before the Thunder went on a 6-0 run to end the half, go up eight, and then they kind of fell apart at the end. If they can find a way to just like not foul and to make their threes, that's kind of their recipe for success. That's
Right.
easier said than done because there's the whole dialogue. I think that's been the biggest talking point of this series is SGA just draws foul after foul after foul. But again, like don't foul him. Maybe play better defense. I don't know, but uh, Minnesota needs to attack the paint more. I think they need to make their threes, and that's kind of the recipe for success. So like a team that made the Western Conference Finals last year and is back this year, you can't count them out, right? Minnesota is a great home environment. We'll see what adjustments Chris Finch makes. He's a great coach. But at the same time, in OKC's a wagon. They are so deep. They're so talented. Best defense in the league. It's going to be tough. I think OKC obviously is in control, but I wouldn't count Minnesota out yet. I'm just curious to see, how they adjust on both ends.
Yeah, I wouldn't count them out either.
Yeah, and talking about SGA, MVP this year, also had a great season. A lot of people have been, the conversation has been foul baiting. The conversation has been he goes to the free throw line too much, and that he shouldn't win MVP. Maybe it should be Jokic. So what do you think about that? What do you think about how much he goes to the line? Personally, I mean, I saw the stat the other day. Shea, the last 5 years, has drove to the basket and attacked the basket more than any other player in the league. So I think that the foul baiting story is kind of far fetched, but I just wanted to get your opinion.
I mean, I don't think you can knock a guy for being great at drawing fouls. Like that's a skill in today's NBA. I think that the real knock should be on the league for allowing it. I've been saying this for years, but it's just I enjoy the physicality of the playoffs where like you can foul a guy with a hand check foul and they're not going to call it. In the regular season, you breathe on somebody, they go down, it's a foul. It's really annoying to watch. It slows the game down. It makes it longer, and it's not fun. Versus a guy like SGA, like you jump and I go up to take a shot, you hit my arm, that's a foul. So you can't knock SGA. I think the real knocks on the league for calling some of these what I would say softer foul calls. But at the same time, like you can do it as well. Like if you're Anthony Edwards, you could also do it. He
Mhm.
might not want to. That's not the game he might want to play, but that's how the NBA is calling it. So you might as well get with that. In terms of the MVP debate, like I understand the praise for SGA. Like I would have probably voted for him if I had a vote. I think the vote's probably mainly because of his record. Like the Thunder are just the best team in the league, and he's the best player. Um, but I do think Jokic was better throughout the year. I think he had a better individual season. He averaged like 30, 13, and 11. That's unheard of.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like it's how much do you value winning versus how much do you value individual success. It's kind of how you decide the MVP. It's clear the voters thought more about winning because I think while SGA was unbelievable, Jokic was better. But I do understand it.
Yeah, I was one of those people, not that my vote means anything really, but I was one of those people that was saying, if I had to go sit down and they took my ballot, I'd be rolling with Jokic. Obviously you stated his stats this year. I thought a lot of it too was you could tell that they were a little dysfunctional even from the beginning of the year, and he still carried them to a top 4 or 5 seed in the West. So I just thought it was a little bit more impressive, but the Thunder are on pace to win around 83 games, 84 games if they were to go on and win the finals. And the MVP, as we've been explained since we were children, it is like 75% a personal player award, 25% your team's record. So I'm not mad at him winning it. I'm a little biased 'cause I'm a Louisville fan and he went to Kentucky. But other than that, I'm not mad at him winning it at all. But Jokic was amazing this year. And to be able to take that Nuggets team, no head coach, Jamal Murray kind of struggling for the most part, other than that big game 6 that he had. He took that team to 7 against the wagon of the NBA right now. And I think that's just a testament to like the all-time great that he is. But moving away from the Thunder, the MVP talk, I do want to ask you about what we saw the other night, Madison Square Garden. Hopefully you were watching. That was crazy. Did you think like 6, 7 minutes left in that game, the Pacers even had a shot of coming back?
I did. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I thought they'd come back fully and win, but I mean, if you watched any of their games, like the Milwaukee game where they were down like 8 with about a minute left and they somehow found a way to win, that Cavs game, they somehow found a way to win. Like based on history, you can't count this team out.
Right.
Now, like the Knicks missed their free throws, and I think they didn't play the best down the stretch, but at the same time, like Indiana couldn't miss. Neesmith couldn't miss. Halliburton had that ridiculous shot, lucky bounce. Like everything had to go right for Indiana. So like I understand like that's a very bad choke job, I guess you could say, from New York. But if I'm New York, I'm not feeling too bad about myself. You guys, they clearly beat Indiana in that game, and I think they'll come out in game two and beat him, and tie it up. But just can they get a win in Indiana? The Cavs showed, in game three after they dropped both at home, they went in and dominated, won by like 30 or 40 in game three. So, obviously it's an unbelievable comeback, but if I'm New York, I'm still feeling good about my chances.
Oh yeah, 100%. I've been rolling Knicks in this series since obviously they got out of the series with the Celtics. I just think that they're a little bit more talented in the more important areas. But Aaron Nesmith, if he's gonna do that or glimpses of that and any more in this series, I mean they're a tough team to beat. Like I said in our pod, they go 10 deep. They had Ben Shepherd in the game in crunch time, 2 minutes left. They subbed their vet Miles Turner out for Ben Shepherd. So that's just kind of a testament, I think, to their key rotational pieces, the way they've drafted, but also Rick Carlisle as a coach. People tend to forget he's really one of the best coaches we've ever seen. He does only have one ring, but when it comes to consistent winning, he really is one of the best we've ever seen. You got anything, Nate?
Yeah, I mean, I've been riding with the Pacers throughout this series, and even early on in the playoffs. I mean, just to hit on kind of a couple of things that you guys did,
Yeah.
the Pacers are deep. After the All-Star break, Tyrese Halliburton has picked up his play, and I just feel like everybody around him has played better because of that. Um,
Yeah, no, the Pacers are great. If you're the Thunder, you're looking at the Pacers and you're like, this feels like I'm watching myself in a way because the 8 to 10 players deep. So I do want to go ahead and ask you though, like with the 4 teams we have left, obviously the Thunder are more than likely going to go ahead and get to the finals. Who's your pick to win it all?
I mean, it's pretty boring. It's the Thunder. Like they're just the best team. They're the best defensive team. They have the best player remaining. It's pretty easy to pick them. And if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong somehow, some way they found a way to lose. But they're gonna have home court advantage as well, no
Yeah.
matter who they play. Obviously, I don't think it's a breeze. Like I think Minnesota will put up a fight, but at the same time, I think they'll get past that series. They're up 2-0. And then whoever gets out of that Knicks Indiana series, I think Thunder are clearly the better team. It's just a matter of execution. So I'm going to go with the Thunder. Not the flashiest pick, but I think they're going to win.
Yeah, no, I agree. I did not have the Thunder rolling into the playoffs. I didn't think that I always question their youth, and maybe that's ignorance on my end, not believing in the young guys. I thought the Lakers were going to do it from a very biased standpoint, but you had Luka and LeBron, things like that. But if I had to pick a team right now, watching them, they've impressed me a lot. I would definitely roll Thunder too. And I know Nate pretty
yeah,
much feels the same way.
yeah.
We've talked about this several times in the pod. Moving away from the NBA, though, I do want to ask you a couple personal questions. I did hear you say you're a Commanders fan.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
go
with
ahead.
with the Commanders, you got to be feeling good, man. I mean, Jaden
Hmm.
Daniels, you got McLaurin, who's been a solid player for a really long time, but also adding Debo, couple good defensive draft picks. What is your record prediction for them? Have you broke down the schedule at all?
I have. I don't want to jinx them because like last year I had no expectations and they blew me away and it was just kind of a fun season. Like they weren't supposed to be there and anything else that they did other than making the playoffs was cool. I mean, I guess I'd go back to 11-6, maybe 12-5, right? 17 game season. In an ideal world, right? That's kind of the record. They have a decently favorable schedule, but I think the main thing is they have a quarterback. Like they actually have a guy that I'm confident in. Hopefully, it looks like Jaden's bulked up a little bit. You mentioned that instead of everyone just double teaming Terry, instead of De'Ami Brown, we now have Debo Samuel. It's a pretty good upgrade. So at the same time, I'm excited. I'm cautiously optimistic. You still have Philly in your division. That's the best team in the league, and they have gone better somehow. So it's always tough, and Dallas could rebound. You don't know about New York. So it's a tough division, possibly the toughest in football, but I'm excited for it. It's cool to actually like think going into a season that you could win the Super Bowl. I think this is probably the first year that I've actually thought that since I've been a fan. I mean, last year was the first playoff win that I had ever witnessed in my lifetime, which is crazy. I'm 21 and I just witnessed my first playoff game that we won. So very cool, but I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you were talking about the Commanders division. I'm a Giants fan,
Hmm.
so looking at the division before the season starts, I would agree with you. I think it's going to be the best division in football as far as each team's schedule and how each team will perform. I think we'll see that early on as well.
If nothing else, the Giants have a good defense.
Hmm.
The scariest defensive line in the league almost, I would say. I mean, we'll see how it goes together, obviously. You said 12-5. That's actually exactly where I had the Commanders this year. I can't put them above Philly quite yet, obviously. But I do have them sliding right in. They'll be the first wild card team. Maybe they can thump Philly though. I think that, the way Philly won that NFC championship, if you're Washington, you got a little bit of a sour taste in your mouth right now because it kind of was it was rough and the defense didn't show up really. And you got, like you said, you guys weren't supposed to be there, so maybe that's a lot of what it was. But I think you guys are going to come out rolling, and you guys could easily in every aspect be a 13, 14 win team. I think you guys are amazing. Watch out for our NFL pod. We're like in the middle of filming it right now, so we broke down like every schedule, record, all that stuff. But we did have a couple specific podcast questions for you. We wrote a couple things down because obviously we're new to this. I'm not sure how long you've been in the game doing this. We're very new though. We're still learning a lot of stuff. And we also want to be like a pioneer for inspiration for other people that might be scared to go ahead and jump into it. I wrote down what is some advice you would give to us or anyone trying to get started off in the podcast world?
Yeah, but your first question, I've been doing it for about 20 months now, so like a little over a year and a half. I guess my biggest piece of advice is just like consistency.
Yeah.
I think I just put out my 79th or 80th episode, but that's basically one per week. There's times where I do two when it's like prime draft season, trade deadline, free agency, emergency pods if they fire a coach or if there's a big trade. But at the same time, it's the people that listen to my pod know that every single week they're gonna get at least one episode out of me and possibly two. I think that's important because there are dead periods. I think right now we're in a dead period of the off season,
Yeah.
and I've seen a lot of Wizards, podcasts. Not going to name drop, but like even throughout this whole rebuild, their content has slowed and their live tweeting has slowed and everything has slowed for them because they don't care as much. But you have a fan base that's dedicated and they want to know everything about the team. For me, it's different because like I know a lot of people don't watch the team anymore, being that they're so bad. But they kind of use my pod as a okay, I didn't watch, but I can sit for 35 minutes and everything that just happened the last week, I know exactly what happened. So I think the biggest thing that I'd say is just to be consistent, and that's kind of the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, 100%. We based our, I guess the essence of our podcast is the rivalry of Kentucky and Louisville sports, which is, it's really fun for us. But like you said, not everyone's super interested in it. So that consistency, it showed us like each video is getting a little bit more views and things like that. And people are requesting us to talk about certain things. And I think we've only been doing it for almost 2 months now. And have we gained a crap ton of traction? No, but also it's been a lot of fun. The process is a lot of fun, and I would tell anyone, don't be scared to get into it.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I mean, we're just trying to, kind of connect two fan bases that we
Yeah,
both love, that both hate each other, and it's just it's a fun thing, and we really appreciate your time today too, coming on and talking to us about these things.
yeah, man. Your content is really good. If like I said, guys that are watching on the YouTube, if you guys haven't had a chance to check out his content, social media, it'll be linked below with ours. He does great explaining everything Wizards, but also does great with like the grand scheme of everything. So, but that's really all the time we got today. That's really all the questions we got today for you, Greg. We're gonna get out of here. We love you guys. We appreciate you guys. Peace.